Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Speaker Series Spotlight. Ruben is not here, but that is okay because I am in good company with Vanessa Horton from Inspiring Our Youth.
Yes, Inspiring Our Youth. Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We were already talking a bit, and I feel like we've already kind of done a podcast in itself, but we're going to start back at square one, and I want you to go ahead and tell our viewers exactly what it is that you're up to and what you're all about.
Okay. What I'm doing is starting a podcast.
Okay.
And I am interviewing various adults about their career path, their career journey. And the focus of the interviews is to inspire our youth, to give them some information about career paths and also college opportunities that are out there for them.
Okay. And how long have you've been a chamber member since December?
Yes, a chamber member since December.
So this is, you're getting this off the ground and you hit the ground running.
Yes.
And you've been doing interviews already. I'm sure you have a lot more to do in the near future. Can you tell me a little bit more about the interview process and exactly who you're looking for as far as interviewees?
Yes, I can. I've been a chamber member since December, and I thought that this would be a good place to make some great connections and also to get some assistance, that's needed. I am interviewing the ordinary person, not the multimillionaire. I'm talking about the ordinary person in our community who has a backstory, who has struggled and has succeeded or overcome lots of challenges. I have interviewed a person. He is now a chef, and he was a successful chef in Long Beach, and he has since the interview launched his own restaurant.
Wow.
Yes, he's a Cambodian guy. And he has a history of gangs and incarceration. And a few years ago, he decided to turn his life around. He attended Long Beach City College and majored in culinary. And that was the start of his new life and transformation.
Okay. And obviously the name kind of says it all. You're doing this to inspire our youth.
That's it.
But what got you started down this journey?
Several reasons. A few years ago, I took some classes over at Cerritos College, and at that time, I would, commingle and interact and socialize with the students, and I found that many of them were in a hurry to just graduate or to transfer over to a university. And when we conversed and I asked more questions about, okay, what's your major? And some of them were unsure. Or, for example, someone told me, she says, well, I want to become a lawyer. And so I'm like, that's great. And then I asked a question, I'm like, well, do you know that they have a great paralegal program here at Cerritos College? And she was like, well, no, I don't know anything about it, but I want to transfer over. And then the same thing, I had someone say that they wanted to become a speech therapist. And I'm like, they have a great speech therapist assistant program here. And so with both students, I told them, I says, why don't you take advantage of what's here because it costs less? And if you become married or pregnant or what have you, at least you would have something that would open up an opportunity for you to earn money. And so they were receptive to that, but then I found that there were several students in the same predicament. That was one reason. The other reason is that I had a niece, and she was to start her senior year in the fall, but unfortunately she passed away. But 2 weeks prior to her passing, she asked myself and my sister to sit down and tell her about our careers. And so we did. We sat down, and she was very thankful and grateful for it. But I also found out at that time, or really got an understanding, is that high schools push universities, but they don't tell about community colleges, trade schools, adult schools, and things of that nature. And that's often a very good first step for our young kids.
Yeah. And I almost hear a lot of almost like a career guidance counselor kind of aspect to that. And I know that getting in front of a guidance counselor at even City College or even college, both schools I went to, it was very hard to get that appointment. It was very hard to get in front of those people to get access to those resources. So you're really doing them a service by kind of laying out different careers and different paths for people without having to kind of go through the appointment system of those institutions. So that's a really cool cool thing you're doing. So where do you see this going, and what's the big picture for you?
Wow. The big picture is television.
Okay.
Move over,
Okay.
Oprah.
Yeah.
And Ellen, so I'm telling you, I think it's something that is needed, not just locally, but I think just worldwide, that people can benefit from it. Our youth, and then also to adults who want to start second careers, because it's never too late. Several of the people that I interviewed, they had other careers prior to, what it is that they're currently doing.
Yeah.
And so that's inspirational as well.
Yeah.
The other thing also too, we were talking before we started the interview, we were saying that there are several people who go to college and they get degrees, but their degrees are too general or too broad.
Right.
And so then they get out of college and they have lots of debt, and then they become either unemployed or underemployed.
Right.
So with a little direction and a little bit more details, and one of the things that I was also hoping is that from this, my interviewees, they also become mentors for others.
Right.
And so, maybe we can bridge the connection. So, we can have resources, have a website with resources on the website, as well as connections for interviewees, for mentors.
Right. Well, like I told you before, I'm definitely interested in doing interview and helping out however I can as well. And to your point, yeah, I mean, my degree is in political science, and there's a lot of people that do like political science degrees and more general, broad degrees. Some of them do it because it's an easier grade and they just want to graduate and get that piece of paper.
Yes.
But even the more specific degrees, if they don't get employment in that one area, they're kind of out of luck in a lot of ways. So I think people not being afraid to do something outside of where their degree is really important, because I know a lot of people that go to school for something very specific, and they do that and they're just not happy.
Yes.
So like taking that leap of I get it. It's a lot of money. I totally get it. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money. I get it, and you feel the need to do that thing that you went to school for. But at the end of the day, like being able to discover what you really enjoy and what fulfills you is very important too. And sometimes it takes hearing it from somebody else that they did exactly that, took that leap of faith, followed their passion rather than just what made sense at the time. I mean that is inspiring, and like you said, hearing it from ordinary people, not just that one guy on that channel or that YouTube channel or that TV show, like, because those powerful stories are all around us.
Yes.
And everybody has a story.
I agree.
And when we empathize with people and we learn from people in that way, I mean, that's what makes a community, and we all get stronger. So I think it's a very great thing that you're doing.
Well, thank you very much. And I agree with everything that you said. We all have a story. We all have a story. We all have greatness. And so just to talk, and I encourage our youth to talk to mother and father and uncle and aunt and the person down the street and the neighbor and what have you, though, too.
Yeah.
Get their story and find out their experiences, though, too, because they're inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, even like, I know it depends on the individual, but even talking to people that are a little bit older, grandma and grandpa and great-grandpa, I mean, they might seem crazy at first, but they have a lot of years of experience. And that's where, there's one real popular YouTuber that I was listening to not too long ago, and he said the best place to learn is at an elderly home. I forget what they're called.
Senior citizen home.
Yeah. He says you go there and you can get you get a degree just from listening to people and their experiences, and it's just so true.
Yes.
I didn't really have a lot of older people like in my life growing up, but whenever I get the chance to hear someone's story and learn from their mistakes,
yes.
I mean that's great too. Like what's the saying? It's a smart person learns from their own mistakes. A wise person learns from the mistakes of others.
Great.
So but you have to listen, and you have to empathize and know that even though it's somebody else's story, there's something for you in there too.
Yes.
But you got to be open to it.
Yes. And just the great advice or the quote that you just gave, when I'm interviewing others, I do ask, I'm like, is there a philosophy or a quote that you live by? Because that's very important. I also ask, is there any advice that you would like to give to our youth? because that's very, very important, because they have lived already. And then just from their experiences, and sometimes it is because of their successes that they have this advice, and then sometimes it's because of their mistakes they have the advice.
And sometimes it's the people that have earned the most money that prioritize money the least because they realize it didn't make them happy. And then there's people that lived a life of leisure that tell you, I wish I would have worked harder to live more comfortably. So it really does depend. And it's also what lands with you, what resonates with you, because you can hear 3 different stories, but and they're all equally as powerful, but which one resonates with like your truth and like how where your heart is. So that's great. And I'm going to flip the table on you a little bit. I'm going to ask you those 2 questions. So what motto do you have for our youth?
Never stop learning. That's the motto that I live by.
That's a good
and
one.
That's the motto that I would like to share with the youth. Never stop learning.
Awesome. But what does that look like?
What does that look like? Always read books, attend workshops, motivational workshops. Those are things that I like to do. And then I love talking to people and listening. Not only do I talk, I like to listen. Sometimes I don't even know that something that they said really registered with me, because it could be months later, a year later, or 2 years later. It will come back to me and I'm like, hey, someone said, save money or invest in this or to do something. And then I'm like, you know what, that's important. Or also too, I am the dreamer. So I dream just about every night. I'll wake up and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, where did this come from? So I love talking to people, young and old.
That's a good skill, dreaming. Ever go through periods where you stop dreaming and you feel like something's wrong? I feel like there was like a couple years where I just stopped dreaming. I'm like, man, maybe that's, I don't know. It's scary.
You're probably tired because you're the father of the new babies.
But probably because I guess you have to sleep if you want to dream, though, huh?
Yes.
That's the part I'm missing.
But no, I dream all the time, and I have young friends and I have old friends. I have several friends in their 80s and 70s and 60s, and I learn from them. So just never stop learning.
What advice would you give to the youth?
What advice? You know what? And I think it's probably a catch-22 again, is to never stop learning, to seek, to understand, and just to be, and also to take a chance. Take a chance on something. A lot of times I think we're a little nervous about taking a chance. Go out there, and if you fail, so what? Get up and try something new.
What was that Will Smith video that went viral recently? 3 ways to fail. It's fail young, fail often, and fail forward. That was a pretty good one. But yeah, Will Smith.
Fail young,
fail often, and fail forward.
And fail forward.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I like that.
But get up.
But get up.
But get up.
Was it fall 99 times, get up 100?
Yep. Really, I love that.
Look at me, man. I got all these little... I look at too many Facebook memes. Well, thank you again for coming by the Speaker Series Spotlight. It was a pleasure. I feel like we just did... it was almost 2 birds with 1 stone. I feel like I've already done an interview with you. I already feel better. But definitely mark me down for another interview.
I definitely will.
Like you said, people that love to hear themselves talk, I'm one of them.
Yes. And again, you know what? I thank you very much for having me. I am open. And if you don't mind, can I give my email address?
Plug it away.
Okay. For anyone who would like to, participate as an interviewee, I would love to have you. And I am open for help and assistance. Please call me at or email me at Vanessa at sharethejourneys.com. Again, that's Vanessa at sharethejourneys.com. If you have any suggestions, if you are willing to be interviewed, if you have any tech advice or assistance that you would like to offer, I would love it. Thank you.
Awesome, and we'll link that below in the video too, and that'll be up real soon.
All right.
Thank you again, and we'll see you guys next week for the next Speaker Series Spotlight.